Welcome back. Our next guest came to the U.S. from Ceylon in India for supposedly only 3 days at the invitation of Conrad Brooks, a filmmaker, and Peter Max, the artist. That was 10 years ago. And since then, he's established 25 integral yoga institutes throughout the country that offer sessions in yoga, chanting, and meditation to the publics. The institutes also train leaders for yoga programs in prisons, hospitals, drug and alcohol rehabilitation centers. And he is known among other spiritual leaders as the person who believes there is not one true way. Swami Satchidananda. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
You know what I was wondering? You are known as the man, as I was just saying, who believes there is not one true way.
Yes.
One true way where?
Wherever they want to go.
Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. Even the Rome has so many roads.
In terms of our spiritual fulfillment, there is not one true way. There is no need for...
Ultimately, there is only one goal.
The goal is...
Behind all these pursuits, everybody wants to be happy. Whatever they do doesn't matter.
Why do you feel in the history of man there have been so many wars over religion, where people have fought and killed each other over religious beliefs?
The egoism got into the religion also, in the label. They said, my label is the best.
Excuse me.
There's nothing, they have not gone to the very depth of the religion. They have not understood the basic purpose of religion.
Mm-hmm.
When they stick to the superficialities, they say, my way is the best. But if anyone has gone to the depth of the religion, they will never say that. It's something like, if suppose I ask you, what is the purpose of eating? We all agree in one purpose.
That's stay alive.
Yes, that's all. But if I ask you, what do you eat for that purpose?
Probably too much and a lot
too
of
much.
junk.
You may say, if you like spaghettis, you may say spaghettis. If I like pudding, I will say pudding. Then, because of my liking to pudding, I develop a religion behind the pudding and say, mine is pudding religion, and pudding is the only one that could satisfy the purpose. And because of your liking to spaghettis, you build a spaghetti religion,
yes.
And the pudding and spaghetti fight.
Yes, they do. And it's a terrible mess.
None of us has really understood the purpose.
And the purpose is?
Purpose is to be happy. That's like, that is the religion. If at all, what is the meaning of religion? To go back, to bind back what you have lost probably.
Mm-hmm.
We were happy once. Somehow we lost it. And we want to get that happiness back.
When you came to the United States, you were, as I said, only supposed to be here for a few days. Why did you stay? What was there about?
It's all people like you kept me. I just came for 2 days. And they were supposed to show me around and pack me further.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't even show me anything. They all came to me and they started talking and talking. And they said, won't you stay a little longer, a little longer? And the 2 days continued to 5 months.
What misconceptions do you feel exist about what you were doing and what yoga is and what meditation is and so forth in our culture?
Actually, there's no misconception as such. But they don't want to wait to understand what we are talking about, what we are doing about. Because we sort of present a curious image which they are not used to.
That's right.
So that is the reason why. So in fact, Baba Ramdas can be taken easily because he is a man of this place. But me, coming from a Himalayan cave.
From where?
Himalayan cave.
Yes.
So, when we say something new, even the term yoga is new. The term, I say. But the meaning of yoga is union. So to people, I say yoga is not new to you. The name yoga is new to you, but the meaning is very old to you because you have that union and you call it communion.
Do you think that in our country we should essentially there are many different religions, but essentially tell children about the concept of heaven and hell. Is this something, a worthwhile thing, that if they're good, they go to heaven, and if they're bad, they go to hell? Do you think that's a basically good thing?
We can tell them, but it's better to explain them what is a heaven and what is a hell.
How would you explain it?
I will say the heaven is an experience where you reap the benefit of your good actions. If you do something wrong, you suffer. An operation theater is a hell.
And excuse me?
An operation theater is a hell. That means the place where you see the suffering, face the suffering, is a hell to you. One man's hell can be other man's heaven.
Do you believe that there is an experience that occurs after someone's physical body dies, where one goes through a heaven or goes through a hell, or does it occur as we're actually living?
Well, both the ways. Even while a person lives, he lives in a hell or a heaven. Suffering is hell, and enjoyment is heaven. But both have their limitations. That is the reward you get for your actions. But there is another place where is neither hell nor heaven, but there is always peace and calmness.
And how would you describe that place?
Well, you can call a liberated place. That means within
that
yourself.
exists in our head, totally, right? It's totally in our own control.
As you heard Baba Ramdas saying earlier, the awareness, who is the real you, never faces hell or heaven. It just witnesses both suffering and pleasure.
I see.
But who goes through pleasure and pain is not your awareness, it's your body and mind.
We must take a break for a commercial. They both probably knew that in advance. See, they can read my mind. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Midday Live. I'm talking with Swami Satchidananda. From the back of Be Here Now by Ram Dass, I read this morning this on the value of silence, which I'd be curious to have both of you relate to. Stop talking, stop thinking, and there is nothing you will not understand. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, because who is thinking and who is talking? It's the mind. It's not the real you. The real you seems to be witnessing everything without taking part in anything.
How can an individual who intellectually might not be able to grasp that concept of the real you understand what you're saying? Yes. If you were to teach that, how would you...
That's why normally I don't go to the level of telling people that you are the real you, the awareness. Instead, I will place them as the mind, because there are different places from which we are functioning. We can identify ourselves to be the body. And there comes, I am white, I am black, I am fat, I am thin. You identify yourself as the body. If you identify yourself as the mind, then you become a professor, an ignorant, a fool, or this or that. It's all connected with the mind, the sane or insane. So these are the two realms in which we always talk about. So wrong position, wrong placing ourselves.
Ram, from your experience, how can an individual recognize that part of them that is in fact detached?
I would say that if you just sat down quietly and started to follow your breath, and every time you have a thought, even the thought, I'm following my breath, or I wonder what's going to happen, you let the thought go by, just as if you were watching leaves go down a stream. Just letting the thoughts go by and keep returning back to the breath. And for just 20 minutes, you follow your breath. That's all. You will know more than all the discussion we can have about how your own mind keeps creating stuff and the quiet space right behind your own mind. Right? Just experience it for yourself. It's as simple as that. That's what I would say.
The mind is like a prankster who constantly is stealing...
The mind keeps grabbing, says, think of me, I'm real, think of me. Okay?
I'm one of those individuals who has difficulty doing that, because when I try to remain silent, I can't let go of the thoughts. My mind will go off all of a sudden.
That's why you do the breath.
I'm floating down the river with the thoughts, you know?
That's why you need what's called a primary object, like the breath. See, the instruction is keep coming back to your breath, which is a thought. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. But it's you pick one thought, and that gives you like a focus point, which allows you to see all the rest of the thoughts. Later, that one goes too. Okay? Just say...
It's something like a catalytic agent. So
The
take,
breath
for
is-
example, a material is dirt. And how do you get rid of the dirt? You buy a piece of dirt from the shop, which you call soap. Huh?
That's right.
You apply the dirt with this dirt and let them chum up in water. And at the right time, you just take the material out, the old dirt and the new dirt both remain in water. So all these practices are like this soap, catalytic agent.
That's right.
Instead of holding to the other dirt, you hold to this beautiful, good-looking, nice-smelling dirt.
What are some of the things that you do to help prisoners? Because we're going to be meeting later in the show some former inmates at Rikers Island. We're going to be talking in a few minutes about the situation last week. How do you try to help the men and the women who are behind bars?
First, I tell them that you are not really prisoners. If you call yourself prisoner, we are all prisoners.
But that's hard to accept if you're locked in a horrible place, you know, and for 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 years, and you have no freedom to go out beyond the wall.
It's the mere thinking. Why, they are not the only people locked in behind the walls. What about those officers?
That's true.
They are also locked.
Yes.
They are allowed to go in there. These people allowed to get out. Why? It's the way of thinking. The walls don't make the prisons. It's the way you appreciate, way you understand it. Prison is not there to punish you, to crush you. Instead, well, to give you some experiences, to purge
grow,
you,
to learn and grow.
to purge you out. It's something like even a hospital is a prison.
But what about as we'll be talking about later, the obvious rates of recidivism, those who return to commit crimes after being in prison for a period of time?
Because in the prison itself, it's not told. They were not educated well. The purpose of the prison is not simply to keep them there and simply demand them do this. It should be a reformative place, and there's no reformation taking place well. In fact, I have visited many prisons, and I tell them, I say, this is the wonderful ashram.
Sure.
A place where you can sit and meditate and understand the better way of life.
But what if you're being physically attacked at the same time, which happens many times in prisons?
Well, if it happens without you are wrong, then you simply have to accept it. Because suppose you yourself
innocent.
fall down and break your bone, what will you do? Think that way.
Well,
He's a brute, probably he's a stone.
Excuse me?
The man is like an unthinking stone. He just hits you. There's no point in hitting him. That's all he knew.
Do you ever get angry?
No, I don't get angry, but I use anger occasionally.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I keep it in my pocket. Because sometimes it helps a lot.
I mean, it will work on somebody's ego when you're angry.
If all other ways fail, I just burst into an anger, and then it works immediately, and then I withdraw it back.
Do you have powers of clairvoyance, as when Ram was talking about the guru that he met in India? Are you able to know what I'm thinking now as we sit here?
Well, if I say yes, then you will be a little shaky, and if I say no, you will be probably happy.
I'm just generally curious.
Well, it comes and goes.
It comes and goes. And how about
Whether you want it or not, it is there.
It's there and it's not there.
See,
How
when
about
you go
Ram?
to a certain level, it's all byproducts. They are supposed, they have to come. But we don't get caught in that.
Most interesting. I ask you to stay with us because we're going to be, I think, meeting some people you might want to make some comments on, and remind you that Ram Dass's book is Be Here Now, as well as The Only Dance There Is, and that the Swami has integral yoga centers all around the country.